The trading post at Sector 7 hummed with the usual chaos of a frontier outpost. Callan wiped grease from his hands, surveying the cluttered workshop that had become his sanctuary among the stars. For 3 years, he'd been the only human mechanic on this forgotten edge of the galactic collective, fixing everything from atmospheric processors to combat exosuits. He'd learned to read alien body language, to interpret the clicking, whistling, and harmonic languages of a dozen species. But mostly, he'd learned to keep his head down and his tools sharp. The door hissed open. "I need repairs," a voice said, filtered through a helmet's external speakers. The translator made it sound clinical, emotionless. Callan glanced up at the figure in the doorway. Tall, imposing, wrapped in Krevter armor, the kind worn by elite mercenaries from the outer rings. The plating was scorched black in places, and he could see where plasma fire had melted through the left pauldron. Whoever this was had seen serious combat. "Put it on the bench," Callan said, gesturing to the raised platform in the center of his workshop. "I'll take a look." The warrior moved with fluid grace despite the damaged armor, each step precise and controlled. Up close, Callan could see the extent of the damage. It was worse than he'd thought. The entire left side needed rewiring. The servo motors in the shoulder were completely fused, and the power distribution node was barely holding together. "This is going to take a few hours," he said, circling the armor. "You took a hell of a hit. What were you fighting?" "Xinthic raiders," the warrior replied. 12 of them." Callan whistled low. Xinthic were notorious 8 feet of muscle and rage, with natural armor plating that could shrug off most small arms fire. "And you're still standing. Impressive." "I killed 11. What about the 12th? He ran." Callan couldn't help but smile. There was something about the matter-of-fact delivery that appealed to him. No bravado, no boasting, just a simple statement of fact. "All right, hold still. I need to run diagnostics before I start pulling panels." He activated his scanner, letting it play over the armor's surface. The data streamed across his handheld display: temperature readings, structural integrity, power flow patterns. But Callan rarely looked at the numbers. He'd learned to trust his instincts, to feel when something was wrong. His hands moved over the armor, fingers tracing the scorched plating, feeling the vibrations from the damaged servos. He could sense where the energy pathways had been disrupted, where the molecular bonds in the alloy had been stressed beyond their limits. "Your primary capacitor is cracked," he said, his fingers finding the hidden access panel without looking. "If you'd taken one more hit to this side, the whole thing would have overloaded. You'd have been cooked inside your own armor." "I know," the warrior said quietly. "I felt it failing during the fight. And you kept fighting anyway?" "I had no choice." Callan nodded, understanding. Out here on the frontier, choice was a luxury most couldn't afford. He'd made his own desperate gambles, taken his own calculated risks. That's why he was here instead of on Earth, working a safe corporate job. He pulled his tools from their magnetic strips on the wall, his movements automatic, practiced. The workshop fell silent except for the hiss of his plasma torch and the soft clicking of components being removed and replaced. Time lost meaning when he worked. There was only the problem before him and the solution taking shape in his hands. He didn't need to see the schematics. His fingers remembered the pathways, the connections, the delicate balance of systems that kept combat armor functional. "You're human," the warrior said suddenly, breaking the silence. "Last time I checked," Callan replied, not looking up from the servo motor he was realigning. "I've heard stories about your species. They say humans can fix anything. Not anything, just most things." He smiled. "We're stubborn that way. If something's broken, we take it as a personal challenge." "Why?" Callan paused, considering the question. "Because we had to, I guess. Humanity didn't get handed advanced technology. We had to figure everything out ourselves, piece by piece, failure by failure. We learned to see how things work, how they fit together. It's in our nature now, an entire species of engineers. More like an entire species of problem solvers. We break things down, figure them out, make them work again, usually better than before." He reached into the armor's chest cavity, his hand navigating by touch alone through the maze of wiring and components. His fingers found the cracked capacitor, carefully disconnected it, and slotted a new one into place. The armor hummed as power flow normalized. "There," he said, stepping back. "That should do it. The armor's fully functional again. I reinforced the weak points and upgraded your power distribution system. You'll have about 15% more efficiency now." Without looking at the schematics, there was something in the warrior's voice now, not just curiosity, but something deeper. Without even knowing what species this armor was designed for, Callan shrugged. "Armor is armor. Servos are servos. The principles are universal, even if the execution varies. You learn to see the patterns, the logic behind the design." The warrior stood motionless for a long moment, the helmet's opaque visor revealing nothing. Then, slowly, hands reached up to the helmet's release mechanism. "Wait," Callan said, suddenly uncomfortable. "You don't have to." The helmet lifted away. Callan froze. She was Vexali, one of the most reclusive species in the known galaxy. Their faces were works of art, geometric patterns of bioluminescent scales that shifted through colors with their emotions. For eyes, ranged in a diamond pattern, regarded him with an intensity that made his breath catch. But that wasn't why he froze. The Vexali never removed their helmets in front of other species. Never. It was considered an act of profound trust, reserved only for family or those who had saved their lives. To see a Vexali's face was to be invited into their inner circle, to be marked as someone of significance. "You fixed my armor without looking," Johnny said, her true voice a melodic harmony that no translator could capture. The scales on her face shifted through shades of deep blue and silver colors Callan had no context for, but that felt like gratitude and respect. "You trusted your hands, your instincts, your knowledge. You didn't need to see to understand. I just did my job." Callan managed. "No." She stepped closer, and he could see the patterns on her scales shifting in real time, creating fractals of light. "You saw the armor's soul. You understood its purpose, its design, its need. That is not just skill, that is connection." "I don't understand." "My people believe that everything has essence, a core truth that defines its existence. We spend our lives learning to see these essences, to understand them without the distraction of sight." Her four eyes blinked in sequence, and Callan realized she was smiling. "You did in hours what takes my people decades to learn. You fixed my armor by feeling its essence. It's just pattern recognition." Callan protested weakly. "Experience and practice, is it?" Johnny tilted her head, scales rippling with amusement. "Tell me, human, when you worked, did you think about each action, each connection?" "No," he admitted. "I just knew where everything went. That is essence, sight. You may call it intuition or instinct, but it is the same gift." She placed a hand on his shoulder, and he felt warmth through the contact. "My people have searched for others who possess this ability. We have found none, until today." Callan's mind reeled. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that your species' reputation as fixers and engineers may be more than simple skill. You see the essence of things, their true nature, their purpose, their potential. You don't just repair machines. You understand them." She picked up her helmet but didn't put it back on. "I came here seeking repairs. I found something far more valuable, proof that humanity's gifts are rarer than anyone realizes." "What happens now?" Callan asked. Johnny's scales shifted to warm gold, an expression he intuitively understood as hope. "Now, I bring word to my people that we are not alone in our sight, and I ask if you would consider teaching others what comes so naturally to you." Callan looked around his cluttered workshop, at the tools and parts that had been his whole world for 3 years. Then he looked back at Johnny, at the patterns dancing across her face, at the opportunity standing before him. "I'm going to need a bigger workshop," he said. Her laughter was like wind chimes, pure and clear. "I think that can be arranged." Outside the trading post, the stars wheeled in their ancient dance, and in a cluttered workshop on the edge of nowhere, two beings from different worlds found common ground in the universal language of understanding, the ability to see not just what is, but what could be. Humanity had always been good at fixing things. Now, perhaps, they would learn they were good at much more than that.